By the time the gunfire ended, 2 officers were wounded, and the 28-year-old suspect was dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. It happened in the College area last June. Tonight we have team coverage. News 8's Marcella Lee spoke with one of the firefighters who helped break down the suspect's door.
But we begin with our Brandon Lewis here now with the newly released video and the DA's findings. Brandon?
Now, Carlo and Barbara Lee, we want to warn you, the video that was reviewed by the DA's office is graphic, but they found the officers used reasonable force. Police spent 20 minutes knocking on the door, then smelled smoke when they broke in and the gunfire started.
Danny, get back. Yo, can't move. Shots fired, shots fired.
They were there to check on a disturbance and were met with a barrage of gunfire.
Hey, we got one hit, one hit.
Officers and firefighters broke open the door after smelling smoke. Officer Dan Byam was shot in the back seconds later. Byam told investigators he had no feeling in his body. He crawled toward a nearby window with the help of another officer for safety.
Come on, Dan, you got it. Crawl. Crawl, Danny.
But they were soon stuck. Outside, other officers rushed to help.
We need a unit with a ladder for an extraction.
They passed them a shield for safety as Joseph Darwish kept firing.
Hey, give me the loot! We need a ladder now! Get back here!
Officer Francisco Roman fired more than a dozen rounds back. He was wounded in his chin, neck, and shoulder.
Hang in, bud, hang in, bud.
Darwish was also hit and decided to take his own life as Roman and Byam escaped out of a window.
Kick it out! You get it, keep going, keep going, keep going. You got it! Go. Come on, one more, come on.
The officers were treated at a nearby hospital and survived. They later received a national award for going above the call of duty. Now, as part of the investigation, the DA's office interviewed the firefighters who opened the door. Our Marcella Lee spoke with one of them, and she joins us now with their story. Marcella?
Brandon, in addition to those 3 police officers, there were 4 firefighters from Fire Station 10 behind me who were also in the hallway that night. In fact, it was one of those firefighters, his first day on the job, who forced open that door. He was standing in the doorway when his captain said, "Move aside, let police officers take over," and he did that just as the gunfire rang out.
That's Danny, who just got shot. He got shot through here and out, through and through the trapezius. And that's his video camera pointing straight up.
Captain Scott Fuller and 3 other firefighters from Fire Station 10 were assisting San Diego police to check on reports of smoke coming from a college area condo unit last summer when they were met with a hailstorm of bullets.
It was a normal day until that young man inside his apartment unloaded his weapon and bullets came flying through the drywall, and instantly everything changed and a survival instinct kicked in for 7 people.
Fuller says 2 firefighters ran one way down the hall. He and an engineer ran the other way, escaping out of a 2nd-story window.
Split-second decision making. I don't even know if you could call it making decisions. It was instinct and reaction that just happened just like that.
As firefighters, they were completely vulnerable with no bulletproof vests or weapons. And Fuller says as difficult as it was to leave the 3 officers, it was the right decision.
And you second guess, should I have gone back and, helped with that? The actions we took, the flight mode, saved our lives, the firefighters. And the actions the police department took saved many lives.
And he is thankful for the counseling resources provided to both firefighters and police officers that have helped them process the trauma from that night.
Call it a near-death experience for many of us. Certainly the 2 police officers that were shot. By the grace of God, we're all alive, and incredible work by the police department. It was not a normal day, but we're talking about it now instead of mourning a loss.
Captain Fuller says there were many lessons learned. One of the most important, to not ever let your guard down. He says he's always reminding firefighters now to be situationally aware, always, because you never know when a routine call could turn into a situation where you need to survive.